Well, howdy, partners. I'm Leanne Hubbard with Senior Living Foresight here for Marketing Monday with Dreamscape, and I am live from Nashville, Tennessee at the ACA NCAL conference. It's going great. Going to bring Dave Grauel on from Dreamscape on in a second. He is also in the western area in Colorado, so we're really living it up today. We're going to talk website nightmares today. If you have a website that you are dying to get updated, or you're just not sure where the next iteration of your site is going to go, this is tips that you need to know so that you don't run into problems down the road. So stick around and we will be right back.
Howdy, Leanne.
Howdy. Are you riding horses? You're RVing around the country and you just happen to be where today?
We are on the side of Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, getting ready for leading age. So yeah, we're out west.
Out west, how fun. And we're live streaming across the country. Okay, now can we take our hats off?
We can take our hats off now.
Okay, good. We might be pretending a little bit. And I'm in this place, you know how when you live stream from somewhere, you got to find just the right spot.
Right.
So I'm trying to stay, and the sun, of course, is moving as we talk. So
the sun never cooperates. It's really
no, it does not, does it? I'm just gonna have to be in the sun. Hey, everybody! Website. Oh my gosh, such a good topic because it's scary, Dave. Websites are scary because they're totally scary because they're so technical, and you don't know what you don't know, and all you know is it's got to be good, and how do you make it good? Right. So let's talk about that stuff. Why is it important to talk about websites today in this?
Because I think, for starters, it's the most important digital asset you have, and maybe even now transcending into one of the most important assets you have. And we all think about it as the end destination for seniors searching for us, right? But it actually, from a technical standpoint, your website, just like your SEO on the front side, your website is speaking to Google. Google is looking at it, rating it, evaluating it in the same way it does your SEO. So in a lot of ways, it's not the destination. It actually very much lives at the front end and the back end of the digital journey. It is driving traffic through itself, through your SEO, through your Google business profile, and a lot of the things. So it is both driving traffic and it is the destination for your traffic. So we can't just think about it as the last stop anymore. It actually drives a lot of the front stops, if that's a word.
So no, sure it is.
Yeah, that's
so no pressure at all to get this perfectly right. No. So how's the industry? I know that you all did a massive survey recently, and you have some data to look at to see kind of like how are our peers stacking up? How are we going when it comes to kind of getting our websites up to par?
Yeah, and I think it's, again, this survey was just to give everybody a look at what everybody else is doing, how they feel, taking a temperature. And I pulled 2 points out of it that talk about websites. And one is, where did we invest last year in our grand scheme of marketing? And the good news is 60% invested in optimizing their website, which is great. 60% is great, but that means 40% didn't. So we got some room to work there. And once you build that website, the big scary website, how's it working? Does it have roadblocks? Does it have imperfections? Does it have things that still need to be worked out? And that's where audits come in. And so when we asked who's doing audits and how often, we see that about 55% are doing website audits within a year. But you've got 43%, going 12 months plus. And that is quite dangerous in a world that is updating so frequently.
Interesting. And we're going to talk, if you don't know what a website audit is, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. I'm just going to give up on the sun at this point. Fully lit. I have to just keep learning. So we have a couple of, it's October, so we do have a couple of horror stories to tell you. You do not want to be these people, but it is so easy to be these people. First, we're going to talk about platform. This is one of the first questions you're going to want to answer when you're building a website or refreshing your website is what platform are we going to use? Are we going to use a platform? And Dave, I know what your recommendation is going to be, and I want to say that mine would have been the same thing because I've seen a lot of nightmare situations when people don't do this. So what platform do you recommend?
One word answer is WordPress. And it's WordPress. So we see this a lot. We see clients all across healthcare get trapped into proprietary systems, either owned by the agency or some sort of third party, and it restricts their ability to add on, improve the website, to do it quickly, to make quick pivots, which again we need to do in digital. So very much it's WordPress because of the freedom it gives you. We don't, as an agency, we don't own your site, you do. And we can move with it a lot faster and create custom solutions. Without naming any names, we sometimes we'll sit with a client when we go through onboarding and discovery and find out about these restrictions. And the horror story there is it takes us a certain added amount of time to jailbreak them, basically. We got to get them off that platform first before we can do the things we do that they're actually asking for. So the horror story there is just being trapped by a limiting system that you should never, ever be on. So if if it's your designer, your agency, your cousin's nephew in the basement, if they're not saying WordPress from the go, run, just run. It's terrifying, run.
Your nephew in the basement, if he's not doing it, yeah.
We get a lot of nephews in the basement in this business, and I'm not talking about them, but sometimes they're just they got their own ideas. They're spooky.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave, I have seen, I've gone to, I know you and your team at Dreamscape have experienced this too, where you go to a partner and they're like, well, we've wanted to have a new website for 10 years, but we can't get access to the back end of it, right? Yeah. It's a nightmare. It really is. So,
our accounting team. I don't mean that. Our accounting team can tell you nightmares. We just working through that process so many times. And don't worry, you're not out of the norm. Like it's normal. Like this is usually a painful first step in the discovery process. Going first. So.
Yeah. And then the other horror story that we want to talk about is about centralized sites versus decentralized sites. This comes into discussion quite a bit when it comes to senior living communities and when you have a bunch of different communities. Dave, can you tell me, first of all, before we get to the horror story, what is a centralized site? What's a decentralized site? And which one do you want?
Okay. Well, the difference is we're not really talking about, it's more of like a philosophy, and it goes back to your architecture and then your SEO eventually. But what we're essentially talking about here is one site, maybe a corporate site where it's going to, stream down to all of your communities versus a corporate site that is unto itself, and then each community has a completely independent site. So that's what we're talking about there. And we see what we call multi-locations, and we see this across senior living, dentistry, hospitals, addiction treatment. We see it across all kinds of healthcare. This constant debate over the central versus the decentralized system and what is going to ultimately perform better for you. And our answer would be decentralized, of course.
Oh, you say, of course, but why? Because I could see thinking, I'm going to build this. Well, doesn't it seem simpler to just have the one site?
Absolutely, it's simpler, and it's simpler for about 2 months until all your teams come back to you angry. It is definitely the easier choice on the surface level, but the problem is, we have communities that have different offerings. We have geography. We're literally pulling from different geographies for different residents. We are pulling for different programs. Our SEO is reaching out to the internet, talking about our differentiators and our specifics about what we offer here, and are you a good match? And so the website needs to back that up. You need even for your Google business profile, you need to be localized somewhere so that your SEO is pulling from that area. Your SEO needs to speak to that area. Needs to be optimized for that area. and when you get into centralized sites, the horror story, I literally, we were at Lifespan, which is a kind of a Delmarva senior living show we were at about a week ago.
Okay.
One of the attendees was literally having this problem. We talked for probably about a half hour about it. They were acquired. They were a community in Maryland. They were acquired out of state. And their marketing people are doing everything they normally do, nothing wrong per se, but her at the local marketing level, at the local director level, which she was getting leads that didn't match what they actually do. She was getting all sorts of, she was getting, things to work with, leads to work with, but when they looked at the information, they're like, they aren't a match because of location, because of, affordability, because of services desired, because of the lifestyle. So the the corporate site or the corporate marketing had a big misconception about who they were and kind of just tried to blanket them with generic, and it was providing leads but nothing they could work with, and they were deeply frustrated by it. So that's the decentralized horror story.
That is a horror story because it's your dream come true. You got the leads coming, but
you got like a powerhouse corporate marketing team working for her, but the information is not right. So
yeah, and it's just such a simple thing to get right or get wrong. And wow, that's interesting. So let's turn the topic a little bit to a little bit of a, it's not really technical in that it's not hard to understand, but it's something that a lot of people probably don't think about. And that's the connected systems that you might want to work in. Can you tell us what are these connected systems and why would we want to use them?
So kind of to build off that concept of WordPress, you can fully customize it. You have complete control over that site. So someone calls you, we need that to come into a call tracking system. We need to come into CRM. We need to have that go out into lead nurturing and into your resident management system. So again, going back to our survey, we asked about call tracking software, and the answer was, are you currently using it? 58% no. So we're not kind of qualifying and recording and making adjustments and pivots based on when things come in and go right or wrong. We can work from that. And if we're not recording that information, that data, we can't work from that. There's nothing to work from.
Okay, wait. Let me ask so the phone call, when you're talking about the call tracking system, are you talking about when somebody clicks the number from your website to call you, or?
No, well, actually, all of the above. I mean, it'll even go so far as to, record the calls to grade the quality of the call. Are we hitting our mark? Have we attracted the right person? How did the person talk to them? What did they talk about? All things we just use for improvement. That might seem a little big brotherish, but really what that is for the refinement of your SEO, because we might be off, right? Like,
okay,
if we had a couple calls and we're attracting the wrong person, we need to pivot then and attract the right person. But it's just the more data we have, the better we can do that. And look, we want to add on, and we work with, like, literally part of my job in senior living is like working with our channel partners. We have so many great vendors, providers in this space. I don't know if I should name them because I'll leave somebody out and they'll be angry. But between chat, between our CRMs, between our survey companies, there are so many great vendors out there who are generating data for you. I saw a demo the other week, which just blew me away. From Further, I'll throw Further out there.
All right.
Site staff too, and here now I'll throw everybody out now. We have so many, but the point is, all kidding aside, we have so many great vendors in this space whose service complements your digital marketing, who can become a part of your website, and it's just going to build on itself. The more integration we have, the better our feedback cycle becomes. And that's what we're talking about with the call tracking and the CRM. That information goes back to our web development team, who makes everything, who just keeps improving. Better automation, better site architecture, adjustments, on and on and on. So that's it. Because the higher you rank for your ideal resident, the better you're making your return on your marketing spend. So this is all just, it's all just better, improvement on what we have in place. You start at point A and we make it better and better and better with data every time.
Yeah. This is like a web design 201 or something that we're getting into.
And you and I even talked about this. It's like, how do we make this valuable? Because web design, and development is so technical. It's over my head too. I mean, I understand it fundamentally, but the guys who do this every day, this is their passion, and but we didn't want to bore everybody with talking about going into the deep technical nature, because I don't know that that's what we need to convey. We need to convey the possibilities and the opportunities that are in web development, not necessarily like how to edit code, right? So like that's what
Right.
even in this is like how to make this valuable in a meaningful way, in a real way.
And to that point about editing code, I feel like we should backtrack just a little bit to the very beginning when we were talking about WordPress. And I realized, if somebody's never used WordPress, they might not know what we're talking about. So if you build the site right on WordPress, or there's other platforms that do this, but WordPress is industry standard kind of.
Yeah.
Then what happens is you have your designer and your coders build the site, and then you can go in and you can blog, or you can change words here and there, right? So that's one of the, yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, for sure. When you go into the back, it is a dashboard of items, and you can tweak and improve to your heart's content, but you have control over it. If you have a strategy in place, I don't know that you should be going in and tweaking constantly, but yes, no, it is an open source platform for building websites, and it's the worldwide standard right now. I mean, that's it. But yes, it is very user friendly. I've learned it over my time at Dreamscape. We all know how to use it. So, I mean, not the technical guys, but like us marketing folks too. Like we've even learned how to use it, even in the back end and the guts and the technical stuff. So it's
the guts.
Yeah.
That's perfect for this episode. Speaking of usability, that's a perfect segue. Usability for us as the people who are on the back end of the website. You also want to make sure your site is very usable for your audience, your people that your target audience, right? Can you give us some tips on usability for your target audience?
Sure. I mean, this is all about bounce rate, right? So if you build this site and we put all this effort into our marketing, and they get there and they can't use it, what was the point, right? So, and not only that, things like bounce rates, technical issues like that actually do affect your Google ranking as well. Google it's looking at the back end as well as the front end. So that's an actual issue. So we want to keep our bounce rates down. So, and these aren't overly complicated topics. We want to make sure the navigation is clear. When they get there, are they getting right to the page that answers their question? Yeah.
We got to explain what a bounce rate is. It's when somebody goes, I know, right? We just keep going, It's when somebody goes, right, tell me if this is right. It's when somebody clicks, like from Google, they find you, they click over to your website, and they're like, no, never mind. And they bounce right back to Google. Is that what it is?
Yeah, or they bounce onto your competitor, which is even worse.
Yeah.
I threw some stats in from a presentation I gave last year, but the bounce rates are very high. People are very impatient. Honestly, that's where we are as a society. We are very impatient to get to that information we're looking for. Yeah. So the bounce rate, yes, is absolutely. They click through your website from wherever, Google Business Profile, Facebook, wherever they got to you through, and they're looking for a certain answer, because a lot of times we put a lot of information in our front end. We put it in our Facebook. We put it in our Google My Business Profile. We put it right in the answer. Sometimes in the we try to front load as much information and answers as possible. I feel if they come all the way down to your website, they're still looking for research. They're still looking for deeper answers, and so we have to take them right to that page as best we can. And there's two aspects there. There's the content. Are they not finding the answer? They're out. But is the page loading? Is the page mobile friendly? Can they navigate it from their phone or their iPad? So there's technical and content issues here. So they're going to bounce out. They're going to leave within a few seconds if your page is not loading quickly. And then if your page is not delivering them to the answer they were looking for, they're also going to bounce. So navigation, clear and simple and clean. We don't need to overcomplicate it. I think I just saw that. But it needs to work right. It needs to be well thought out. You need to start with a good blueprint before you even start building your site about how you want this to work. But then your design. The design itself should be clean and clear and get them right to their answer. That's what they're looking. They're not looking. We all have beautiful brands that we are proud of, and I'm a brand guy. I'm from that side of the house. But when it comes to your website, we have to get them to that answer, to that decision-making queue as fast as we can, period.
Right.
And then mobile is the last thing, because it's still about 50-50. You can Google it today and you'll get a bunch of different answers. But mobile usage versus desktop usage, we're still somewhere in the 60-40, 50-50 range. So, but Google does prioritize, and has for probably about 2 years, has prioritized your mobile site. So when Google goes out and crawls and says, is Leanne's Senior Living Community website the best answer? It is going to prioritize the mobile version of your site first before the desktop version. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So we
Oh.
want to make sure, again, we want to please Google that yes, the mobile site is optimized for mobile. Because I've seen some really nice desktop websites and they didn't go mobile at all, and they load the desktop site on the phone,
Yes.
and
And
it's a wreck. That's got to be a super high bounce rate. But
yes.
but yeah, no, and so yeah, for both, for mobile, it's got to be for both. Again, for the usability of the senior searching, and for Google to rate it higher than everyone else because it is mobile first or mobile friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how many sites you'll log on to, and it's like it's the desktop version squeezed down
Yes,
to
yes,
one
that's what I mean. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you absolutely, for technical and user reasons, you can't do that.
No, people.
Non-starter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a horror story.
Yeah, horror story number 3. All right, how about performance on a site? You talked about some of that, about load speed and all that. What else would you recommend on that?
So performance is, again, how fast is your site loading, and that is dictated by we could go down into the weeds, but I'm going to give you a couple, right?
Okay.
So the fewer times that Google has to talk to the website and relay information back and forth as it loads, because that's what happens when you click through from Google to your website. It's exchanging information and loading that page for you. So while, again, we don't want to compromise our brand, we also don't want to lose performance. So there is a middle ground. On the other end, people get obsessed with, like, I have 100% load score speed. I'm like, okay, but is your site helpful? Like, so we can't be on the extremes here. We can't be, my site loads in like half a second, but there's no usable content, right? So
there's one word.
I've abandoned, where it's like my site takes 10 seconds and it's beautiful and has everything I've ever wanted on the site. So the answer is somewhere in the middle, but we ultimately want to reduce the amount of loading time it takes. So what does that have to do with? That has to do with your images size correctly, size for mobile. The web page itself, we talk about its size and weight of the page. So we want that to be as light as possible.
And by size, we're not just talking like inches, we're talking pixels. How right? Yeah. So it could be this big, but fewer pixels in it makes it smaller.
Absolutely. So absolutely. Redirects, again, that the HTTP requests and redirects, the time it's taking Google to talk back to your website and get it loaded, who you host with. Now, we're in a specialty industry. We're in healthcare. So we have some HIPAA compliances sometimes. I don't know that that's as true in senior living as other places, but we deal with hospitals and other areas too. But secure hosting, I think I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but I'll just say, hosting for now is just make sure you're on a host that can handle your traffic load, can handle loading the site, and is secure. So that's important. And the last one is, again, about loading speed, is browser caching, which just simply means loading a previous version of your website so that next time, even if there's changes, it can load the core quicker and then apply the changes. Those are the top ones, I would say.
Yeah. A lot of techie stuff, but that's techie stuff you can turn over to techie people.
It is techie stuff. Yeah, it is. But that's presumably, as marketers, like, I don't, we all have providers and vendors who help us with these things. So this is more about your punch list for when you're talking to your web guy or girl or lady. Sorry.
Yeah.
But your web design person.
Your nephew in your basement, or Dreamscape. You can go with your nephew, or you can go with Dreamscape.
Right. So if you're talking to your nephew or Dreamscape,
Yeah.
I want people to have a punch list, be educated, to know the questions to ask. So when
Yes.
you hear the right answer, you're like, yes, let's go with this. When you hear the wrong answer, you're like, no, that's not what I've heard.
Yep.
So yeah, this is not about doing it yourself. This is about having the punch list and the education to have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, well said. Nicely
Thank
said. So, last thing before we get to our top 5 takeaways, but we have some bonus takeaways this time as
you.
well.
Sorry, too many takeaways.
Last thing, is there anything else you wanted to say about hosting and site security?
Yeah, and then I mean, it's, again, without getting too technical, it's being in healthcare. We have to be careful of that. But even if we're not talking about healthcare, if your senior researcher or their family member tries to get to you and are immediately met with security warnings and things like that, there's scary
Yeah.
pop-ups. Google is great now. Even in my email now, Google's like warning me about every email.
Yeah.
Google's going to do that because they want to deliver the best user experience to the searcher, not you. You have to play by their rules. So it's really just about making sure you've done your diligence on your hosting and security, and making sure it's up to snuff for the industry you're in, so you don't throw up scary warnings to people who are trying to find you.
Oh, another scary thing. What a scary episode this is. We're freaking our.
Well, my 11-year-old daughter now it's spooky season now. It's a whole. I get all my updates from her. Yeah, she's my technical expert on hip things now. So yeah.
On hip things. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You got to have one of those.
like dad hats.
I mean, that's hip. If I've ever seen hip, that is hip.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she'll be so proud. You can send her a screenshot of that. Yeah.
Oh boy, she disagrees though. She's in. I don't even know what generation she is now, but she definitely lets me know very directly about all this stuff.
Well, that's good. That's good. You need to know because you're a star now on the YouTubes, so you got to.
I should let her watch these back and give me notes. That might. I don't know if that would help or hurt. Anyway.
I don't want to hear the notes. No, I don't want to hear the notes on the light. Look at the shadow now. It's like it's spooky lighting. It's actually
right. There you go.
Okay. Okay, let's do our 5 takeaways before we go completely off the rails.
Sure, yeah.
And we have not 5 but 7 takeaways today. It's a bonus episode. And you know what? It's all free. You don't have to pay a dime for all these 7 takeaways.
Right.
Number 1 is SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, which we're going to do a whole episode on in this digital university that we're doing. This is the 2nd episode of that, by the way. Go back and catch the first one on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can catch that first one, and we're going to keep going with about 7 episodes. But SEO is important, but then you point out not to forget the other stuff.
Absolutely. This is the other half. This is the back end, like we would call it on page and off page. I think SEO and digital marketing have become synonymous, and I think we just need to keep putting it out there in senior living and all of our healthcare, that as we educate our leaders, that's not the same thing, right? It's not enough to have amazing SEO. The website that it lives on, again, remember, our website is the impetus, it's the end, but it's also the beginning. It's driving all that. So yes, your website contains your SEO content, it contains your thought leadership, but when we're talking about usability, performance, security, architecture, those things all on the back end that you never see, Google is looking at those too, and they do contribute to ranking. So not only do they contribute to, once a senior gets to your site, they're contributing to all that stuff up front as well. And they're so again, I think the takeaway there is SEO is not the be all and end all of your digital marketing. The website is very much important, and there's other parts too, PPC and social media, but I want to make sure we don't get SEO and digital synonymous. It's a bigger picture than that. So don't ignore. Sorry for the longest takeaway ever. That was my longest takeaway ever.
Well, it's a good point, because it is like SEO is the be all and end all, but forget about the other stuff. PPC, pay per click. We're going to talk about that in future episodes, and also social. We're going to get to that. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted. Moving on. The 50 millionth thing that's scary on this episode is audits. I don't want to hear the word audit, because it reminds me of taxes, and that's scary. Dave, why are you telling us to audit our websites?
Because it's absolutely a tool for you, right? Like, so my marketing department, we don't, we say we either win or we learn, right? We're all learning. That is the whole point of this show. in a conversation. We are starting from a point and we are learning together, period.
Yep.
Auditing is just a tool for you to use internally with your team to go, oh, here's the things that are working. Here's the things that aren't. Let's go fix the things that aren't.
What does an
It's
audit, what is it? What does it show?
it's going to show the way it's going to show you the way mostly Google is seeing your website. It's going to show you, it's
Mm,
going to rank you on performance, the way your site loads. It's going to rank you on your security, your hosting, all those technical aspects that it can go in there just like Google crawls. It's going to crawl it, except instead of punishing you, it's going to give you a nice report that you can use to fix it.
Hey, awesome. Do you do that in Dreamscape?
We do actually, and we actually build in another layer of ethics there. Our audit system is a third party. It's agnostic to us. It doesn't benefit us in any way. We have that for our clients to use as they like, or prospective clients to go, all right, well, let's see where I am. You have to know where you're starting.
Yeah.
And what it is it's just going to give you a report. It's going to go crawl your website like Google, and it's going to send you a report. It's anonymous. It's not linked to us. It's third party. It's unbiased. It's going to tell you where you stand, and you can take that anywhere and make your website better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, looks like there's a URL at the bottom of the screen right there where people can go and get that. Is that right?
Yeah. That's ours. Yeah. It is, like I said, through a third party company. It is anonymous. It's going to go right to you in your email. It is a tool for you to use. There's nothing to worry about there. It's it's a closed system. It's self-reporting. It's just for you to use.
Nice. That's great. Good offering. Jada's working on the back end. Hi, Jada. Would you mind putting up that? I saw we had a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you recommend, Lisa? Hey, Lisa. Do you recommend we have a decentralized or a single site center, one for each level care, or a centralized system for a single site center? That's an interesting question. Is that something you can answer, or would you?
Um, yeah, no, my answer. So for a single site, so a single community, one site.
I think so.
No, yeah, you can do a single site then, because you're going to set it up with your physical address. So you're going to be automatically drawing from the area you want to draw from. You already know what services you offer and don't. So if you grow beyond that, I would set up a site for each one. And then you could, of course, make a corporate site if you wanted to at that point. But for a single, no, I think you start with your one site, but just keep in mind that it serves that community. And as you grow, each new community is going to need its own site to talk to those specifics. So good question.
Yeah, that is a really good question. Number 3 takeaway: WordPress. Yes, I think we've
Mic drop. Done.
Yep. Right. Number 4, mobile optimized. Dave, I think an easy way to check if your site's mobile optimized is to look at it on your phone, right?
That is the best first step. Absolutely. Nothing much to say there. It's if you get your desktop website on your phone, you got to walk down to your marketing department and your web department and have a conversation.
Yeah, there you go. Number 5, have connected systems to drive data-backed decisions. Dave, anything else you'd add on that one?
No, you need to talk to all of our partners in the space. Again, I'll throw them out there, like SiteStaff and Further and Sherpa and oh gosh, welcome home. John's going to kill me. And the survey system, Aging Choices and Rubric, and all these great services that add on.
And for the full list, you can contact Dreamscape.
For the full list, just show up at Leading Age next week, and I'll introduce you to everybody.
There you go. Perfect. And then now our bonus tips: publish thought leadership, which helps prospects and helps your Google ranking. So you're thinking about like blogs and things like that.
Absolutely, because you should be using them. I mean, now this gets back into the SEO side of things, but you are drawing in people by answering their questions about senior living. So you have to have consistent content that is optimized with keywords, not crazy, just enough to do it right, enough to signal to Google where you are and what you're talking about. And then you have to do it at a pace one step ahead, slightly faster than the communities you're competing against in your area. That's it. Just the more you write, though, if you want to get technical too, so that's answering for the senior searcher and their family. But the more you write, Google is going to take note of that too on the technical side, and is going to make you an authority. So they're going to increase your ranking for that too. So these, multiple benefits to being a thought leader in the space. And we have big brands. We should be thought leaders. We have big, proud brands. We should be the ones putting out detailed information about solutions they're looking for. So we absolutely.
I'm sorry, I keep asking about Dreamscape, but do you offer that kind of content, like writing and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, we have I don't even know how big our team of writers is now. Yeah, we're all in house. I say we were in Columbia, Maryland, but now we're all over the country. But yeah, no, we have a team of writers who knows this industry and all the industries we work in. But yeah, they will write that for you. And it's a consultative process. We're going to talk to your leadership and understand what you need to write about, and then we're gonna do it for you for sure. Yeah,
that's good. Because you can need to know what you're like a lot more than just pen to paper. So finally, this is such an interesting stat. Know your ROI. $1 in UX, and I want you to tell me what that is. In UX equals $100 return. That's huge. So what's UX?
It is, and I always like to leave these things off with an agnostic stat. This comes from Forrester's research. I mean, you can't beyond reproach, right?
Yeah.
So user experience, UX is user experience. So that's everything we've been talking about. As the searcher comes into your website, how are they experiencing the site? So when you invest $1 with your dev team in making that experience better, it is going to return $100 back to you. So I know we're all focused on getting an ROI out of our marketing budget. I know I am. So that's it, right? That is the 100x mic drop example. This is a fact.
Wow, that is impressive. That's cool. Well, Dave, this has been such an informative session and a fun one and a very scary one. Hey, Dave, where can we see you next week? And then was it the week after? 2 big weeks.
October is, I mean, we're in Colorado now, literally in Colorado on the side of Cheyenne Mountain. And then we're going to drive up to Denver. It's a little bit that way. So that's Leading Age. We are booth 2916. And if you can't find us, go look for our friends at Compass Community Living, because they have the really impressive booth right across from us. So find Compass and then turn around and we'll be right there. And more importantly, actually, if you want to go deeper on this, we are presenting a case study presentation Wednesday morning. Our SVP of Strategy, Glenn Hadley, the Director of Marketing from Buckner Retirement Services, Kelly Lockaby, they're going to get on stage together Wednesday morning, 8:30 a.m., and they're going to talk you through the real life experience of everything we've talked about here. So,
that's great. Oh, I want to be there. And then that's at Leading Age?
That's at Leading Age. That's,
okay.
Right. That's all Leading Age, right?
Yeah.
And then we roll right into next week is Smash. And, that's the Sales and Marketing Summit, right? That's Dreamscape Super Bowl. That's our big event for the year. So we will be all over it. We are doing, again, if you want to get deeper on this, we're doing Ed Talks. Dan Gemp, our president, will be there doing a digital marketing Ed Talk. Glenn will be there doing a lead conversion Ed Talk. We have a networking lounge. We have the kiosk. We have a cocktail connection reception night. Unlimited amount of times to come further this conversation. I'll be there. Our team will be there, both of them. So come find us. Meeting links, So we will have plenty of opportunity to talk in the next 2 weeks about digital marketing.
Yeah, how fun. It's an exciting season for marketers and senior living.
I'm so looking forward to seeing everybody. Oh my
gosh. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Well, thank you so much, Dave. It has been really fun talking with you.
Always is.
Everybody can catch us live on the second Monday of every month and on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And we will see you later. Bye from Nashville.
Bye,